2, 3.
Yep. Hey everybody! Welcome to episode 54 of the podcast.
Hello.
And as you can see, we have an empty seat because
Yeah.
Matt McGill is late, and we've decided to start without him.
Open casting on the podcast next week.
Yeah, if we'd have known, we could have called Jake. I don't even know if Jake's in town. Is Jake in town?
I haven't heard from him.
Summer
Yeah,
months
email.
are kind of crazy. We
Yeah.
got this week. Next week.
We've got this week and next
Well, we've got a
week.
We got a
podcast this
show,
week.
yeah.
We can do a podcast next week.
Yeah,
Then I'm gone for
Gone.
3 weeks. Africa, you
Yeah.
guys can do whatever you want.
Okay, do you want to do a show while he's gone?
Definitely.
All right, we'll see what we can do.
Definitely.
That would be
I
fun.
like that. That would be fun. You
Hey,
can listen to it from Africa.
Last week, we need to talk about our PDYM student leadership because it
How
was
great
unbelievably
was it?
awesome and fun and
It
wonderful.
really was
That's so
fun.
fun.
And we had about 800 people at Saddleback last week,
Yeah.
most of them junior high and high school students, and it was very, very fun. It was all leadership type kids and cool youth workers, and we talked about being a leader in the church and the youth ministry, God's purposes.
Yeah.
A lot of them were our PDYM community leaders, and et cetera. Now we have dates for next year, right, Jenna?
We do.
We do.
Do we know what they are?
July 15th through the 18th.
July 15th
Awesome.
through the 18th of 2008.
And we had
Yes.
some podcast fans who were there, and some
Yes,
people
we
were
did.
asking, "Hey, are you guys doing a show?" And there was no way we
We
could
were
do a show last
so,
week.
yeah,
It was so
we were so
ridiculous.
spent.
It was really fun though. We wanted to, but maybe
Yeah, it would have been fun. We,
Yeah.
I was just on the phone with Duffy Robbins as we came in here because we were trying to put this book totally to bed this week with the editors, and he
Alright.
said, I told him I'm walking in to do the podcast. He said, I just talked to 3 youth workers this week that listen to your podcast. What are you talking about today? And I go, we never know. So if you were the
Nothing
3
really.
youth workers that were talking to Duffy,
Ah.
he mentioned you.
Yeah.
Hey, do we start this episode 54? Do we start with this with an apology? Because it says, "Hey Josh, where's the video podcast for episode 53? I'm dying without it. I need my fix." Did we screw up or
we
something?
had just some server issues
Oh,
with.
okay.
We have multiple servers that offer the podcast, and sometimes one of them goes down, and so. Well,
Okay.
it's fixed. It's all gold now. It'll never happen again until next week. So we are fine.
All right.
So, yes, we're sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. By the way.
It's all Josh's fault.
All right. Well,
It
I've got a
is.
couple that if McGill does make it, I've got a couple that I
Okay.
want to wait for him
Save
because
them
they're
for him.
kind of about him. Jan, anything else?
No.
Oh, we have a jingle, right? We have jingle submissions.
Well,
Chris?
people are entering them.
How many do we have? You think
8 or 9.
8 or 9?
Almost a dozen.
For those of you who don't know, that is
Those of you
definitely.
who are in ministry.
Or Josh's
I
friend.
count like a senior pastor, guys. That's it.
That's right. We got it in- yeah.
No, seriously, that's great. So there's a competition to come up with the official jingle of the SYM podcast.
When is the due date?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it ends today.
It ends
Oh, wow.
today.
Oh.
So-
So we need a few more.
Yeah, so if
Late
this
entries
is,
are
if
always
this
the
is
best.
if this is, I bet you what you could do
Yeah.
is if this is posted tonight, people could work on it over the weekend and send it in
And
on
probably
Monday.
still.
Monday would be what, the
Oh, yeah.
21st?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 21st. New official
Okay,
date.
I hear
Done.
heavy feet steps.
Okay, so-
Feet step?
Feet steps?
Footsteps. Okay,
Matt
good.
might be here.
Uh-oh. All right, here's one question from Tommy Smith.
Okay.
First Baptist Church, Denton. What did I almost say?
I don't know. Baptist?
Bapter? How should we handle this?
Okay, I have to concentrate.
We had some new students visit our high school hour this morning, 3 friends. One just graduated, and one will be a junior. The third is going to be in 8th grade. He is a man-child and looks like he could be Matt's little brother.
So he's really
I-
big and has facial hair
I
already.
told the 8th grader about our middle school hour, and he was not interested. In fact, he said, I fit better with the senior guys. He definitely looks like one. We have 2 separate hours on purpose. Should I tell him he can only come to the middle school hour, or should I let him continue to go to the high school hour?
Wow.
It's a good question.
Promotion Sunday starts now. That's all you do. Just promote everybody in 8th grade up.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Well, this
No,
guy's
he's
probably
going
going
to
into
be in
8th
eighth
grade.
Oh,
So,
even worse.
well, I would say that if he came with those guys and one's out of high school, you got a problem there. If a guy just graduated, you
Yeah.
got a problem there, and you got
Yeah.
a problem with the. Here's what I would do. Here's my quick fix answer. I would do whatever I could to keep this kid. So if it was right now, get him involved in. Now, if it opened up a whole can of worms
Yeah.
where all these other 8th graders are going,
coming
well,
up
I'm going to
and-
go to high school, then I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But if it's kind of an anomaly and the guy came with his friends and
Right.
it doesn't look like, and he looks like a high school student,
Yeah, because you've
let
got to
him.
imagine this is something that he's kind of struggling with if it's that obvious that he's a big kid and,
Right.
it's got to be a little bit uncomfortable for him too.
So when he's in junior high, people come up to him and go, "Are you the leader here?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you do whatever it takes to keep the guy if you're not really compromising your programs or getting a bunch of kids bent out of shape and things like that.
Yeah. I could definitely see people whining, though, getting frustrated. 8th graders that say, "Oh, if he gets to go," I mean, I could feel like there would be some
having a
tension
conversation and saying, "Hey, you can come here for now.
Totally.
Let's talk."
Is this? I see Cole. Is Kurt here?
Oh wow, maybe so. Let's see if he's around.
Did Cole bring his
Should I open
electric
the door?
guitar?
Yeah,
We're gonna open up. We're gonna see.
Kurt,
Oh, Kurt.
Kurt,
come on
here.
in.
All right.
Come on in. Here,
Just checking this out.
sit down.
All right,
Get
come
up.
on
We're
in. Yeah,
doing
get
a
it, get it.
podcast.
I can't. I'm
McGill-
supposed to be somewhere else.
I know, but McGill's not here, so we're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, he just drove up. He just
Oh
drove
yeah,
up.
sit down. Put on the
This is
mic
great.
like you
Where do I
are
put it?
always here.
Yeah,
I don't even know how it works.
that he's been replaced.
Not like that.
Hey everybody, Kurt Johnston, and
Oh my goodness,
Hey, guys.
If you're not watching the video podcast,
You
you're
need
missing out
to
right
get it
now.
on.
yeah, and if you ever thought Kurt was really intelligent,
What is this thing?
It's a
it's
mic.
called a
Look
microphone.
at
You put it over
like
your
this.
ear.
Like
Yeah.
this.
Here, let me help you, buddy.
Oh,
you were
wow.
actually you're doing pretty good.
Was I close?
Yeah, hook that over your ear.
That's
All
terrible.
right, Kurt,
Now
we'll
you
give-
have to sing a song.
Let's give you this question. Ready?
All right, here we
terrible.
We know you don't have much
Ooh,
time, so
this is
jump
perfect.
right into a
Perfect.
question.
Here we go.
How would you
Okay.
handle this? We had some new
Is this
students.
serious, by the way, or
Yeah.
is it- okay.
We had some new students visit our high school hour this morning. 3 friends. One just graduated. One's a junior. The third is going to be in 8th grade, but he's a man-child and looks like he could be Matt's little brother. I told the 8th grader about our middle school hour, and he was not interested. In fact, he said, "I fit better with the senior guys. He definitely looks like one. We have 2 separate hours on purpose. Should I tell him he can only come to the middle school hour, or should I let him continue going to the high school hour?"
Yikes.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough
Yeah.
one.
And we've already all
We've
answered.
Have you
answered
really?
it, so
We
it's
just
up
Okay.
to
want to
you.
agree or
Yeah.
disagree with what we all thought.
I'll give you a bunch of answers.
Yeah. Go for 3 and
We already got Josh. Just a urine.
If seeing it's the beginning of the school year and he's just barely a new 8th grader,
Right, that's a word.
that's
That's what we're
tough.
assuming.
That's tough because he's got a whole year before he's in high school.
Yeah.
My response is, if mom and dad insist it's the best thing for the kid, then I would go with what mom and dad say as a rule, as a general rule. If mom and dad
And he comes with 2 older
and he
guys.
comes with 2 older guys, my only challenge to mom and dad would be, at some point he's going to have to pay the price. At some point,
Yep.
at some point those guys aren't going to be there anymore. They're going to is he going to go into college group when he's 14?
Right,
So,
right.
I mean, just letting mom and dad know that at some point you have to make the hard decision. And is that easier now or later? That's up to them, I think, as
And
parents.
most parents, having been in that situation many times, most parents say, "I'd rather my kid be involved now." Because
Yes.
I would always say,
Yes.
"Look, most kids barely last in high school ministry 4 years, let
Right.
alone 5 years."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, most parents are going to say, "We'll worry about it later if we can buy
Get 'em
some
in.
time."
Yeah.
And I just remind them, hey, if they're in small groups, are you going to let them in the 9th grade small group? Maybe let parents know there's going to be some stuff that he just can't participate in because of his age.
Yeah.
But overall, if you feel like it's best for him,
Right.
he can come on the Sunday hourly program.
Yeah.
But maybe he can't come to the guys' trip, which isn't going to be very 8th grade friendly, or whatever the case may
Right,
be.
right, right.
But that's common but tough.
Okay, so why don't we talk about girlies? Because right
Girlies?
now we've got the junior high is having a girlies trip, which
girly.
my daughter,
Girly.
girly, my daughter is on her very first youth
Ah.
ministry trip ever.
Well,
Your
Ray-
youngest.
My
daughter.
youngest daughter.
Baby.
Rachel's actually in charge of that trip.
Oh, Rachel,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's
we
Kurt's
put
wife.
Ray
Very
leadership
good.
in charge, and so it could be really bad or really good.
I'm
It'll be
sure.
well organized, I'll tell you that.
And they met at the train station.
Yeah.
Yeah,
today,
that's
so they
so
did the whole
fun.
thing.
So
they
cool.
took
What's
the
the
train down to
philosophy?
San
Yeah.
Diego.
Well, we do. There's also Burley going on right now that I would normally be on, and I was going to take my 10-year-old son, but I looked at the schedule and thought they're doing frisbee golf and a lot of stuff that just he would be frustrated doing. So we're doing this other guy son thing. But so right now, Burley and Gurley.
Something.
What I say, guy son
Guy
thing?
son,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Well, we call it D. My son came up with it. He calls it either D4 or D5. Dude, dad, date, day, something.
Is that a
So that's
that's
what
nice.
we're on.
dump?
But Girly Burly is just a one overnight trip, and
Yeah.
the girls go one way, the guys go the other. It's the same price, the same time frame.
But I thought it was such a good idea that they met at the train station. Save them
That's-
money on
Kurt's not
transportation.
even in. I'm looking at the video screen right now. Kurt's
He's
not
off.
even in
There
it.
you go. Now you're in the show.
There we go.
Welcome Kurt, to the show, everybody.
Good to see you. Yeah, the
Saved
girls.
like organizing anything on
Yes.
our own church property. I mean,
Yes.
it was a great idea.
It's
So
Great.
the philosophy is just you're building relationships. Purpose of it
Oh
is
yeah,
Totally
it's much
fun.
smaller. I mean, they have
Yeah.
60 girls. I think we have 30 guys, so it's much
compared to a
smaller.
large-
Well, when we
group
say
program.
smaller,
For us,
in our
context,
yeah, sure.
it is smaller.
Yeah.
And every year, kids point back to Burley and Gurley as quickly as they do summer camp as what helped them, especially seventh graders. Like Cassie will
Yeah.
probably experience it. You know, I mean, she's going with some buddies, but a lot of seventh graders say, "Oh, that's where I met some friends,
Yeah.
and that's where I
Connected
feel like I
there.
got to know the leaders
Cool.
because
Yeah.
it's the attention is 1-on-4 or whatever the ratio
Yeah.
is.
It's like
at
what
the
people
end.
say about freshman frenzy.
Same thing
kind
they
of
say about freshman frenzy.
Well, it's funny because, here's a kid who's grown up in a youth pastor's family her whole life, watched older brother and sister. She used to go on all the youth group trips, and we've kept her away for the last couple of years so that she could have a little bit of time. She was so nervous last night because really her friends
Oh.
that are going are 8th graders.
Right.
So they're kind of the 8th grade crowd, and they're bringing some friends. So she was kind of going, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'll fit in. I said,
Well, last
She'll
night
be
at dinner,
good.
Kayla said, "Now, can Cassie be in our room?" Oh, she's seventh grade. Will you let seventh graders be in our room? We said,
Well,
"Well, I'm
this
sure
is
she's
kinda-
probably got some friends, but if not, it's all about connecting." And
Yeah.
we said, "Kayla, you can reach out to any seventh grader you want."
Yeah, that's great.
That-
Yeah, get that older junior high kid looking out for the
Yeah.
younger junior high kid. Get that one youth pastor's daughter looking out for the other one.
That's a good idea. Wow. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
very
All right.
fun.
So
There you
Tommy,
go.
you got a bunch of different answers, and Kurt.
Pick one, go
Thanks.
with it.
So,
So now you're going out right now then on the father-son thing.
we're going on a 24-hour skate park road trip. We're going to see how many
Right.
skate parks we can go to in 24. We're staying at a cheap hotel, which will probably be about 2 miles from our house. But,
But
that's
that's
part of the
the
road
whole
trip.
point.
Yeah, absolutely.
How
So I
cool.
even found a Whittier skate park, which is where I grew up. Just not sure how safe it is.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
because it's a
You
skate
can't
park.
go after
but
dark,
because-
so you better go
Yeah.
now.
Bring your
There's
side
a
on.
there's a definite there's like a 8-degree shiv factor at the Whittier skate park. You got to be careful.
Oh, that's
But-
awesome. Now, do you have all your gear and the
Oh,
whole
yeah,
bit? You're going to
yeah,
be skater dad
yeah,
today?
Yeah, I'll be skater dad.
How awesome. Take a bunch of pictures.
And by this time tomorrow, I'll be skater injured dad.
Hospitalized dad.
Okay.
It's inevitable.
Fun.
I got to interrupt. I think McGill just drove away, you guys.
No way.
I think I just saw him drive away.
McGill
Did he
drove-
come all the way up here?
Where's McGill?
See, Andy's ticked, and I'm supposed to be in the meeting room.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's so
There
funny.
is
I gotta roll.
No
Okay.
way.
Okay.
that's funny. You rolled up and rolled out.
That's
Okay.
He
funny.
saw you.
Okay.
He got mad.
Hey,
He's pouting
all
I
right now.
forgot this mic was even on. It's so comfortable.
I know. And once you know how to wear it, it's an amazing thing.
How do these work? I don't know. All right. Dude, you're the man. Thanks for popping in. Do you want this? Is this you?
That is me.
Okay.
Bye, Kurt.
Bye, Kurt.
Thanks.
Super fun. Have a safe trip.
I will.
Okay,
All right.
Josh should read the next question.
Okay,
Mike.
great. What happened to Matt?
I don't know. He just went to voicemail too.
No way.
Don't
All right.
tell me he was whining. If he was whining,
Not a chance. He said in his text, "Start without me. I'll be."
Yeah.
So actually, let's see if he texts again, really quick. Sorry about this. No. Okay. All right. Here we go. The past week, July 7th. You wanna read the show?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Here we go. My summer
Was
job.
I
is-
Somebody
saying-
else
was I
spoke. What the
saying
heck's
something?
going on over there?
Oh, he wrote, "Doors locked, so I left."
No way, Matt.
How funny.
And he saw Kurt. Oh, poor Matt.
Doors locked. You're
That-
keeping me out.
Okay. That's so funny. I was just thinking about when we locked Natalie out too. How
Well.
fun that was.
Oh, you guys are mean. I'm not gonna.
Now
ever
he's
be
calling
late.
I was
McGill.
gonna say, don't be late. Yeah.
What are you doing? Get back
Put him
here.
on speaker. Put him on speaker.
Oh yeah, put him on speaker.
I can't believe you left. You know how whiny and pouty you sound right now? Oh, come on, get back here. We got McGill specific phone emails.
That was a reverse get.
Okay, well good, you got us. So come on back. Where are you?
I'm just over at Tully's. I'll turn around.
All right.
Bring donuts. Bye.
Okay, hurry. A reverse get.
A reverse get. There's no way that was a get.
I don't even know what he meant.
He's at Tully's.
Well, he did drive away.
Exactly.
My name is Tina
Hi,
Vander Heiden Smith. Ontario, Canada. My summer job is boring and takes very little skill or concentration. My boss does not care if I watch or listen to podcasts because he would rather. Oh, this isn't a question. I remember this. Here's why I saved it.
Thanks for your family history. All right, here we go.
She watched episode 0 to 53 in 1 week.
Oh,
No.
you do have a boring job.
Yeah.
Oh, even
Zero.
then.
I know.
Even with a boring
And-
job.
Well,
No.
you know what we
We
should
got
have
a
done?
boring job and a terrible week to watch 53
Unbelievable.
episodes.
But see, we need somebody to watch all the episodes and archive them.
Well, let's
So-
have her do it.
Well, yeah, okay.
Boring summer job.
Tina, next week,
You're
why don't
on.
you watch it again and archive it?
Watch
If you-
every show
Oh.
again.
If you can do
Oh.
that, then we would have like what we did on that show,
You know,
right?
it would be interesting to take screenshots of each show and see how we've changed throughout the last year and a half now. So you could see, the new people, weight changes,
Oh yeah,
how
that'd be
much
a lot
hair
of
you've
fun.
lost. It'd
Yeah,
be great.
great.
All right,
Tina, thanks.
Scooter Buck.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Scooter Buck of Fredericksburg United Methodist Church, Fredericksburg, Texas. I have a quick question. In Purpose-Driven Youth Ministry, you talk about having a prayer team. I was wondering if you still have one. If you do, how do you communicate prayer needs to them? Do you give them specific kids to pray for, or a list of students who are on the trips, retreats, etc.?
Good question.
Janet, weren't you part of years ago? Were you
Maybe years ago.
were you part of the prayer team?
I can't remember. I mean, I don't know if I was like helping lead but I definitely had some involvement with prayer team. We've done a few different things.
The prayer team kind of comes and goes. It's all
Yeah.
dependent
'Cause it's
on
really student-led.
student leadership,
Yeah.
and if we have, and I don't think right now there's one.
I don't know
There's
what
one
they-
happening. But to answer your question, those kids would meet in between services on Sunday morning, and there would be. I remember going. It was a prayer and encouragement team.
Yeah.
And there was some goofy name a couple years ago that they were calling themselves. I forget what it
I forget
was.
too.
But they would take the visitor cards and they would pray for them. They would write notes to them.
They'd come in during the week too and write
Oh,
notes.
they came in
They'd
during
follow
the week.
up and
That's
do
right.
it.
That was at a different
That's
time.
cool.
Yeah.
Because one group was meeting on Sundays, and I do remember that because they met on Mondays. They would use
They-
my office because it was my day off,
Yep.
and I would come in and
And
my
they-
whiteboard would
Yeah,
have
notes on your
it.
white.
Yep.
They were praying for you.
That's
you, that was
awesome.
But
So
we also, that was up to their leadership whether they what they came up with besides the prayer requests that were turned in. Were they praying for trips that were coming? Were they praying for, rosters of people that were there? I
Right.
know, even when we did mission trips, though, we would leave specific prayer requests back with them, and
Yep.
so
yeah. Well, I know that a lot of things are seasonal, and I remember we don't have this right now, but which we should. It'd be no brainer to pull back is the parents' prayer team, where we would
Yeah.
email general prayer requests. We weren't
Yeah.
praying hey, pray for so and so's
yeah,
addiction to pornography,
Right.
and list their name.
right.
That
Yeah,
would
we
be
probably
bad.
didn't do that.
That'd be a little rough.
Yeah.
So, let me go big picture on this one. The big picture is, you want to get kids involved in, that's a need. You take a need, turn it into a ministry. You have a prayer need, becomes a prayer ministry. How awesome! Now that would be the get. Matt's back.
Just leave it.
The door is
And
locked.
Don't say anything. Okay.
That would be a
No.
double get.
All right. It's a
Okay.
reverse get.
A reverse get. Okay, now open
Okay,
it.
now I'm feeling sorry for him.
You're feeling
You
sorry.
Oh, kind of a little bit.
I almost died just now.
Open it for
That
it,
would have
though.
been sweet.
I think I just broke my arm.
That's called reverse get number 2.
That scared me.
Come on, sit down, man. Sit down.
Dude,
We're 18
the
minutes
show's
into
not the
it.
You
same
were
without
right
you.
in my
Hey, baby.
face. Oh, goodness.
Good to see you.
Wow.
Welcome back.
Sorry about your
I-
ears.
I
Well,
was going to practice my World of Warcraft moves.
we
Move?
had spare time because you were 30 minutes late without
Yeah,
letting
so
us
we
know.
started late. We
So-
waited,
I
started
take
late, and
full
then
responsibility
you
and
took more time
apologize.
driving away.
Really? Go ahead. Apologize to each
I'm
other. How
very
much time?
sorry to each one of you for being late.
And you're in a nicely
I was going
tailored
to say, you
collared
must have
shirt.
had an important day today. Look
Wow,
at
no
you.
doubt. Meeting with Bigwig.
Well, this was the next shirt in my closet, and that's how I choose my clothes. Whatever's the next shirt on the rack is what I get.
It's like uniform day at.
$50,000 is what we cut out of the startup budget, so it was awesome.
So that's worthy of a new shirt.
Yeah.
Startup budget to start up a new
To
satellite.
start up the next satellite campus, it was awesome.
Good.
Blew long, but
We're
Matt just came from some
Yeah.
meetings.
We
been in
got-
meetings
we're
all
only
day
a few
long.
minutes in, so you haven't missed much.
Yeah.
that's right.
We had a Kurt cameo.
We had a Kurt
heard
cameo, and then we had a Matt Wineo.
Yep.
Oh, wasn't whiny. It's called reverse get.
Kurt's in
It was awesome.
drive off.
That was perfect. First thing Natalie said when I came back, I am so proud of you that you didn't handle it the way I did. It was
What did
awesome.
she do? Out?
Yeah, well, she banged on the door and said, let me in, let me in.
Well, you learn. You're a learner.
Leaders are learners,
That's
is
right.
what I
You
like to
stop
say.
learning somewhere.
You stop
You
leading.
leave.
That's right.
I love this one. Hey, Matt and the podcast team.
Ooh,
Hello.
I love that
Oh,
one because
nice.
normally
That's
it's
good.
Doug and the podcast
yeah,
team.
yeah.
Matt,
Occasionally we get to
I'm the
riff.
guy from Germany who promised Matt the gold
Oh,
about 10 or 15
yeah.
episodes
Like
ago.
a year, yeah.
It hasn't worked out so far because the company my sister works for only did orders within European servers. Well,
That
now
is a drag.
they also deliver to the United States, and my sister just sent Matt 200 pieces of gold for Gerbil Slayer.
Somebody did that, and I had no idea who it was.
There you
Now
go.
you know.
There it is. It's
That's
Matt
Is
what
that
it
a
is.
lot? Is 200 pieces of gold a lot?
That's
Like, could you
like
buy a new sword?
that's like a week's worth of work, 2 weeks worth of
A week of
hard.
Warcraft.
You need
Oh, it
to say
depends.
thank you.
That's pretty good.
Oh, thank you very much. I actually
Matt Foster.
Oh,
Oh, thank you. Jen,
I
for reminding
responded
me
to the
about
first
social
one
skills.
saying, "Do I know you?" And I never got a response back.
Pat Foster,
There you go.
and he's from Augsburg, Germany.
That's very
And this
nice.
was his sister Heidi.
You should befriend them even more
of course
now.
her name is Heidi.
Heidi. That's
Heidi.
All right.
All right, we got another Matt one. This is that I got to read this, and this is really the only reason I really
This
cared.
looks long.
Well, it is kind of long, and it's from Matt
These
Cross.
poor people, they've already had a
Yeah.
rough podcast, and now
Highlands,
you're going to read
Highlands
It's
Fellowship.
been rough so far.
Oh, without you, it's
it. And
not
I
the
just
same.
screamed in their ears.
Well, when you jumped in, and scared
That was
them
awesome.
too.
Yeah. Well, he just
was
broke my arm and
awesome.
scared her. So I'll be fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it
saw
was
you
rough.
jump back a little bit. I saw it in your eye.
You saw his eye.
Yeah, it was great. It was.
Yeah.
Chris,
it
were you
was
scared?
A bit.
Bit?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, free the McGill.
Oh.
God uses
brother.
the giggles.
Free the McGill.
That's right.
51, so we're on episode 54.
So 3 episodes later,
51 was the best episode ever.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
It
that was
says
where
that-
I had the giggles.
Then it says outside of the treadmill story, which I got an email from the
Oh.
treadmill mother.
She
Oh,
MySpace me as well.
She's been out at camps and stuff like that and didn't listen to it and was listening to it again, and she said, even though you already read it, I wanted you to know the story is absolutely true. I had a $14,000 hospital bill
Oh my.
and
So
several
it
more
seems kind of
gray
low
hairs.
for that area.
A few episodes back, we talked about the treadmill story.
Let's don't bring it back up.
And we're never going to talk about it again.
Yeah, I'd
But
pay a
it's
lot more
true.
It's
money.
not
for
even
that.
worth you going. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
sad
it is.
story, but it's not.
It's sad, funny, and we shouldn't have read it. Here we go.
It's almost as gross as you putting gum on the
I
top
was
of your
thinking
cup.
that.
I know,
I was
I know.
thinking
Here,
how.
now
So
stupid
here's
that.
the 51 was the best episode ever.
needs it.
Matt McGill was on. Doug
Thank you.
seemed irritable.
Oh.
Was it
IBS.
because
It's usually the other way around.
well, here's the funny thing. It almost sounds, when I read this, I actually looked at the name because I thought McGill wrote this because it says, was it because the great McGill worked his flawless magic once again?
Oh,
Tell me that is
That
not
is
a Matt
totally-
McGill
You're
line.
channeling this dude.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
Or maybe Doug was just irritable because he spent so much time lately preaching in the adult venue trying to take over Rick's position.
Oh.
Maybe the
Yes.
Emperor of Youthland should go run another marathon or add some more lame 70s rock to his iPod like Kiss instead of asking Matt if he needs to
golly.
leave the room. Surely Doug can take it like a man.
All right.
Oh,
see.
somebody. So they must.
In reference
Yeah,
to
they
the
must
series that I
listen
just
to your
did.
series.
Stop
Wow.
slipping Dramamine into Matt's Propel like you have the last two shows and trying to pawn it off as the new Matt. Let Matt be in a good mood more often. Set him free. Release the giggle beast to derail. Let the man-child bring the people the joy we deserve before the revolt begins. We are sold out for McGill getting the giggles. The giggles are contagious. I began to laugh until I was actually crying. My wife kept asking me what was so funny. I was laughing so hard I couldn't tell her. And then she began to laugh as well. Then our 2-year-old son Caleb got the giggles as well. The McGill's magic created an awesome family memory for us. So thanks you guys for reaching out to all the youth ministers and our entire families with joy. McGill,
that
you
is
are the
spiritual.
memory maker. in
Thank
families.
you. Well, when people think of mirthment, they think of me. I mean, that's
And
definitely
merriment.
And merriment. Yep, both those.
All right, it says, we love you guys. Thanks for doing what you do. Doug, we're praying for you when you go to Africa. Josh, we're praying for you to receive some Outback soon. Jana, we're praying that you keep your sanity around these guys.
Thank
How
you.
you have done it this
Too
far
late.
is nothing less than a miracle from the good Lord. Jake, we're praying you get the permanent seat in the room. You deserve it.
Aw.
And
Oh, that's awesome.
is nothing less than a miracle from the good Lord. This guy writes
Yeah.
like McGill.
Yeah.
McGill,
That's
he's-
funny. You know, this
Must
guy,
be
this
Matt
guy
Cross'
is
brother.
beyond this email and how much I love it because it talks about how great I am. But this is a guy that, like, in the beginning, even transition stuff, he would zip me emails saying, "Hey, praying for you. What's going on?"
that's cool.
Oh, so this is
And
kind of an
so-
insider job then.
Yeah.
Did you set him up for this?
It's like your BFF.
No, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Come on,
I
did you
did.
tell him to write something?
Top 8. Oh, on MySpace.
Oh my goodness, man.
Dude, MySpace is so yesterday, dude.
Oh, are you Facebooking already?
No, Facebook.
So ahead of the
Facebook
curve.
was before yesterday.
All right, Josh, you might have gotten emails about this already.
MSN Spaces, baby.
Spaces is where it's at.
Episode 53, you said you
Me
didn't
and
think there was a
Bill.
Costco in Michigan. There are actually several.
I know.
Oh.
I did
Oh.
click on his link, and there are Costco's in Michigan. So I apologize to Michiganders.
So one time, like we had a little tension between us because I
Yeah.
said you were lame because you didn't know what Costco was.
But we know what Sam's Club is, and that's all over Michigan.
Yes.
All right. Hey, were you done? Did I cut you off with your love for the other Matt Cross guy who writes like you? Who's your buddy?
He's my best friend.
Yeah.
No, that was it.
Has
He's
he
just
ever
been
sent you gold?
he's been a cool guy. I wish he'd send me World of Warcraft gold, but he
That's how
hasn't.
you really know if someone's your friend.
And aren't you
That's
playing
right.
with another Gerbil Slayer guy?
Oh, I'm playing with another youth pastor. Yeah,
You have just
Mike
created such
Eads.
community
I actually don't know
for
how
the
to say his last
podcast.
name. It's an online community. Dude, we're actually playing tonight. Tonight is like a very
so you guys
important
have
night.
meeting
Yeah.
times?
Oh yeah, we totally do.
You have to because you're going on missions where you need more.
Yeah, we're
characters or
doing a
something.
deal tonight. It takes 10 people, and it'll take 2 nights. Like we're gonna do it tonight and then Sunday night because it's too much to do in one
To
sitting.
have so
You
much
didn't have time to
time.
read my sermon, huh?
Well, it's tonight. Can I read it tonight?
Isn't tonight your wife's birthday also?
That's the funny thing. Yes.
Oh yeah, hilarious.
So
No way that just happened.
yeah. Oh, listen to this. So 2 weeks ago.
Your wife who just had a baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. 2 weeks ago, I said to Misha, I go, "Hey, so what do you think about, me playing on Thursday nights?" And she's like, "Oh, I think that's great." So whatever, we coordinated with all those other people online, and she's like, "Oh, that's great." And I said, "So what do you think about this week being the first week?" She's like, "Oh, that's great. That's wonderful." So then last night she says, "Do you know what day tomorrow is? Tomorrow is my birthday."
Oh wow.
So you're gonna let her
She
sit
had-
next to you?
So she had forgotten.
Get her
She had
flowers.
forgotten her own
Yeah.
birthday. That was, and of course I forgot it, which is a given. But she had forgotten until someone else had called her
And wish her happy
and
birthday?
wished her happy birthday
No
for tomorrow
way.
because they can't call tomorrow. How funny is that?
Wow.
So,
Funny
What are you
in
gonna do
in a
then?
sad kind of way.
oh, and so she's like, "We should go to dinner tomorrow night." I go, "We can." And she's like, "Oh, that's right. It's World of Warcraft night." So we both laughed.
So we both laughed the end.
That's
We
it.
both laughed, and you're gonna play World of Warcraft tomorrow night.
She's been going to bed at like 8:02 for the last 2 weeks. I mean, so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what.
She had a baby.
That's
That's
what
what
a
new
third-
moms do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you
moms do.
gonna
New moms
schedule
do.
you're gonna schedule a
We're gonna do an online date World of Warcraft.
See now, if she could just get a character, you guys' relationship would blossom.
It would
All
be
right,
awesome.
here we go. Kent Leslie, St. Clair Shores, Michigan.
But it's great that you guys think that you remembered her birthday, even though it's just on your Outlook calendar.
You're looking at me. I didn't actually remember her birthday.
Oh, well, who
Yeah.
said happy birthday?
Me.
Good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Way
Do you
to
think
go.
my wife?
But
Didn't
that's
tell me
okay.
this
That's what a
morning?
calendar's for.
Not really.
Oh,
Wait, so
Whatever.
people who put important dates in their Outlook, they're cheating.
Yes.
Because they should just know. If you really care about someone, you would just know their birthday.
Well, I think so.
Now,
Okay.
spouse,
Well,
yes.
I don't know because I don't care.
Sorry.
I'm putting together my calendar for next school year and have a question for some of you. I have a fall retreat
Calendar.
in October, which usually gets my students going right off the bat at the beginning of the school year. And
Doug's
a
birthday
winter
is December 30th.
and a winter
When's
retreat
my birthday?
in mid-February,
Sorry.
which is good. But usually I begin to lose momentum after Christmas, so the winter retreat is not well attended. I'm thinking about having 2 weekend retreats, one around Christmas break and one in late April, to keep the momentum flowing throughout the year. And I've heard some people mention Discipleship Now retreats or D-Now. I've never heard them before. Explain to me what that is. So, fall retreat, good momentum. In April, or a winter retreat mid-February, lose momentum because Christmas break and winter retreat. So,
Well, should I start us off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not?
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the podcast.
When's your birthday?
Well, we used to do our I don't know, December 16th. We used to do a retreat in every November, and that was like before everything tailed off, Christmas time and all that stuff. And it was great. We loved it. It was awesome, wonderful. Who cares? But then we saw the same thing, that there was things that momentum would tail off after Christmas time, after New Year's, all the way up until Easter. So we, for a couple of years, moved our retreat to the last weekend in January, and we used that as kind of a way to kick up momentum in between January and Easter. So for us, we did a retreat at the end of January, and it was a momentum thing for us, I think. That's how I
And so
remember
what
it.
he's saying is middle of February, he loses momentum.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, momentum is a big part of your calendar year. In my opinion, December's dead.
Yeah.
And it's dead because everybody's so busy.
Yeah.
Now, there are a lot. I mean,
Like,
Janet,
should be dead, though. Like,
well, it's hard to get people to do anything
Yeah,
in
yeah.
December. And there are so many after, Jen, we see those requests all the time, the after Christmas, the 28th through
Yep.
the 31st, those types of requests.
that-
3DID.
And we've gone to some of those before, but if you don't make the sell way before Christmas time, then you're on the phone on Christmas Eve trying to sell parents, hey, get a stocking stuffer,
Yeah.
send your kid to camp, because you've already committed your money to buy those spaces. You have to find out in your own calendar when is good momentum. At the beginning of a school year, there's great momentum, and depending on where you
Natural
are
momentum, you don't have
where
to
you
plan
are
too
in
much.
the country. Where some places and where football is God, you can't really do much in the fall. But in other
Amen.
places, you can do great stuff in the fall. For us, what we found is right after the football season was over in November,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of right in that
Like week before Thanksgiving?
couple weeks
yeah.
before, maybe a week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Where football season's over, but the craziness of Christmas hasn't hit yet. We could build
Yeah.
some momentum to carry us through, and then we would do, we have our spring break.
Which
spring
was our
break
biggest
mission trip,
momentum
which-
thing
yeah.
of the year.
Yeah, so you just got to find out in your calendar what is momentum, where is the momentum, where are people, waning. So to me, I would just experiment. I would say to Ken, if middle of February you're losing momentum.
We also, that was of our three main things that we did during the year, the thing we did in November / then January was the least attended thing we did all year compared to summer camp, and then the largest was the mission trip, or missions, whatever the difference is, I always forget, trip in
Spring break.
April, spring break. But and we just did kind of a discipleship focus. In the early years, it was more of a ministry focus, and so it was less attended, but it was more of the core students anyhow, and it was still a great momentum thing.
Well, and he's kind of asking that same question too. What is a discipleship? We stole that idea from the Southern Baptists, where they have D-Now.
That's what he was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea with that is
Late renewal weekends.
taking your small groups and staying in homes locally around your church.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny. Brazel just talked to me about. Oh, now it's product time. He just talked to me about how do we get some of that material we put together.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
And do a
People are always
discipleship
looking
weekends,
for
yeah.
that kind of material. I've got them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What material can I? We get requests at Simple Youth Ministry all the time for that. Specific. Give me a Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of in the can. All right, Mike McGarry, Emmanuel
Nick
Baptist
names.
Church, Norfolk, Massachusetts. How do you know? We've talked about this before, so let's don't camp on it too long. How do you know how much sarcasm and joking around is too much? I don't rip on.
Why
any-
are they asking us this question?
We're the worst
We
offenders.
clearly can't answer this one. Sorry, guys.
I don't rip on any youth unless I really know they can take it. I don't think it's necessary to act all formal and proper, but I try to be aware and careful enough that I'm building a relationship with the students where I can help lead them to follow Christ. How do you know when too much joking around is too much?
Well, there's a couple obvious things, like when a youth is leaving the room in tears.
Yeah, if there's crying.
That's
that-
probably
went too
that's
far.
probably when, and maybe I mean sometimes that's actually
Well,
what you're
and
going
we
for.
also, I think one of the reasons we get this question is because we we pick on each other a lot, and this really isn't a fair representation of what our youth ministry is.
No, not at
we
all.
wouldn't be
Doing
like
this with
this from
students every day,
stage.
right,
and
right.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I
people
am,
or-
but
Yeah, Matt is, but that's a whole different story. But I think there is
that's why I'm no longer in youth.
there is a safety issue in terms of we feel safe with one another.
Sure.
I mean, even
Yeah.
when we first started the podcast, and you know, I didn't know Natalie that well. You know, I was very
Right,
rarely
right.
make any comment at all. I mean,
Extra
people,
safe.
if you don't feel
Sure.
safe with them, or you know their personality where they're just not gonna, you know.
Yeah, you have to be aware of other people.
Yeah.
And
I think
so-
sarcasm is a
sometimes-
tool. I think it's a tool. It's part of communication that ultimately the effectiveness, whether or not you should use it, you got to measure by effectiveness. I mean, it can endear you to a crowd. It can correct gently. I think some kids, that's their language, and I think that they respect that a little bit. Not that you adopt that, to be cool. I don't mean that, obviously, knowing me. But and looking at my shirt, there's nothing cool about me.
It's like a
But
homeschool
My
shirt.
dad
I love
had
it.
one.
This
It's
is
a
cool.
it's a uniform.
Uniform, it is.
Homeschool
Dude,
uniform.
this
Josh,
is-
how you feeling?
I feel right at home, guys.
this is awesome.
That's sarcasm right there.
But I think in case it
I
hadn't
will
been
really say
demonstrated.
thank you.
I think that may be the first check.
Well, guys, there's an example of sarcasm.
But it's also depends on your style too. I mean, it depends. If you're not a sarcastic person, then you shouldn't try and be sarcastic.
Yeah.
But you also need to check your heart. If you're trying to be sarcastic to always hurt people, or if you want to try and be the coolest or the wittiest person in the room, I don't think that's the right thing to do either. I think
Or
if,
to confront people without
yeah,
really.
yeah, if it's
confronting
more than a
them.
light confrontation, I mean, I think that there's
Yeah.
that you can hint around some things, and I mean, sometimes I think public accountability is great, but I mean, definitely in safe environments, and once you've already demonstrated that
That
you
you
have a
really
little
do
bit of
love
love,
that person.
yeah. So
Well, and it very much is a personality thing. You know, Kathy Fields shows no, she doesn't joke like that at all. Now she can take it and she's fine with it, but that's not how she's wired.
yeah.
And it would be very awkward if she all of a sudden started doing, sarcastic statements.
Don't you think that's part of the responsibility of the person who is using sarcasm, though, is to gauge the audience or the crowd or the recipient?
Yeah.
Like, I can tell if I'm really getting to somebody, it's for me, I probably got to back off.
Look in their eyes.
I don't
You can
always-
tell.
You
But I
had
mean, you
some.
kinda know.
You had some borderlines this week. At
Oh,
student,
yeah.
last week at student
Yeah,
leadership.
most
Some
definitely.
From the
Okay.
stage.
Did
Yeah.
you
Well-
But
make
I
fun
mean
of
that
some
he
people?
recognized and
Yeah.
stopped and then
Yeah.
went the
Yeah.
other direction.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and it's tough when you're in front of a bunch of students, too.
you're carrying the crowd and you're
Yeah,
They're
you're
loving
gr-
it,
and
too.
you're
They're
great at
dying.
keeping
I
the crowd,
killed-
yeah.
The youth leader's up there, and I just killed him on something, and they're just eating it up. But at some point, you have to go, oh, all right, this is going to go too far.
Yeah.
So,
But and you're also good of getting off stage and saying, "Hey, thanks, man, for taking that." That was,
right.
Yeah.
Because I think it's funny, and I think they think it's funny, but I want to make sure.
Yeah.
And it'll show up, and undoubtedly, it'll show up on the evaluation going, oh, man, those guys are really hard on people on stage.
Yeah, people say that about us all the time on podcasts.
Right.
Yeah, and that and some people respond negatively. Was I telling you this, Jana, recently about like my speaking that I've noticed at Saddleback? The people that respond the most negatively to me when I speak to the adult congregation is people who have been abused. The
Can we
third
have-
edit.
Yeah, pretty
here
sure.
come the
No,
emails.
Okay.
that was
Let's
sarcastic.
just go on record. I didn't think that was funny. Did you think that was funny?
No, this is not, I'm smiling about an earlier thing that was said.
Yeah. Jana, did you think that was funny?
No.
That may
I
have
mean,
been,
my
that may
heart
have
is
been the
crying
worst thing
for-
you've ever said, Matt, in your entire
I've
life.
said way worse things, guaranteed.
But I have noticed
never
in
in front of
conversations
camera.
that when I talk with people individually, this lady at Kinko's said to me, she goes, "You are so much warmer in person than you are on stage." And that's a really interesting comment. So I just
Wow.
began to dig a little bit
Yeah.
and found out, her background. She had a ton of abuse in her background. And I thought that, just if one person says, you go, no big deal. But I've had 3 or 4 conversations like that this summer where I've got to know some people, and they in essence, I'm summarizing, but in essence said, in person you're so much friendlier because there's a defensiveness to it. Some of the angry hate emails, you think about some of the people that have responded negatively
yeah.
to me are people. Think about what they've written about.
Yeah.
They've written about their
Their past
yeah.
and
And I
their
made one
hurts.
joke one time like, ladies, your role is not the Holy your job is not the Holy Spirit. That's the Holy Spirit's job. Well, some lady got real, everybody laughed, but one lady who was in an abusive relationship, she responded to that.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
which
think
is really
that's-
her issue.
That's something we all
Oh,
still
absolutely.
need to learn and remember too. Though, is that what you say affects people very differently. What's said in innocent
Yeah.
humor and a joke or sarcasm or an illustration, I mean, it could offend or hurt or wound or
There's really two messages: the one that's said and the one that's heard.
yeah.
Gosh, I feel like I was in communication class. Right now.
That's right. Thank you.
Like him right now and have an invitation.
Have you written anything on interpersonal communications? Sarcasm.
Here we go, sarcasm.
But I think there's
Just
there's
thought
a
about it,
basic
unfortunately.
people awareness. I've been on staff at my group for over 5 years now, and have had the high school.
Didn't summarize that one, huh?
No,
Just are we going to talk about how early you got the podcast emails today, or
Good job, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I forgot.
And well, I just know there hasn't been any teasing about when you got the email, so I felt a little left out.
Well, I got it
so-
today.
Well, but they were on your desk.
That's true.
2 days ago.
That's true.
Printed and done.
Okay.
That's right. That was good.
Which is really good considering last week.
Yes. There's a first for everything. All right.
That's right.
That's sarcasm.
And you had an extra half hour to read them today because of me.
Yeah, that's true. I wish I'd have known that because I could have summarized them better.
All
Love
right.
the podcast. This
Thank
is
you.
Nathan Cook.
Wait, you can send a text message to multiple people.
That's why I just sent two. I called you first. You didn't pick up your phone.
Oh, I didn't. Really, my phone didn't ring.
How come you didn't call me? Just figure I was going to give you some grief.
Well, no, you were the next person I was just about to call.
Well, there's only one left after you call him
You're
and text
right.
her.
I would have gotten it, but I got it being sarcastic.
Anyway,
Yes.
I just finished watching episode 53, where much of the discussion was salary and when to move on if those financial needs aren't met. I'm in a
Oh.
little different situation. My salary is competitive, and our youth ministry budget is more than reasonable. Salary is not what makes me want to stay when, however, lack of vision and growth is.
Yeah, don't they always do those surveys and they say that most people aren't what the reason that they're unhappy is not the amount of money they're making, but whether or not there's vision and whether or not they have growing
Whether they're being
responsibilities.
fulfilled.
At
You know, that's
churches
what-
or at a?
That's what he's saying. I'm in my
Anywhere.
14th year of youth
Yeah.
ministry, 4th year at this church. I've always believed in longevity, but I'm hungry for growth and excitement once again. I appreciate your thoughts.
So is it time to quit, or is it time to?
Feed yourself. If you're
Press
hungry,
through.
feed yourself. That's what I say.
Well, I think that you might desire that kind of vision from your leadership right there, but you can also get that from some other places. I mean, you can get fed from some other places. You don't have to.
Yeah,
be
I'll give you some
dependent.
vision. Go change some lives.
You don't have to be sarcastic.
Was that sarcasm right there? Or sarcasm?
Sarcastic.
Sarcasm.
You don't- Anyways.
Wow! Wow!
Not rattled. I'm just,
Totally
Your face
rattled.
is red.
If
That
you have
never
to say I'm not
happened.
rattled, you're totally rattled.
Oh
I'm
man!
not rattled.
You
I
got
just don't know if I should keep talking or not over
Jana,
you
I
goofballs.
totally
That's
understand.
the thing.
I totally understand. That goes back to episode 51 where I need to ask Matt to leave. And the guy was saying how great it was. Matt gives him the giggles, and he's a memory maker. But at some point you go, do I even keep going? Because
Exactly.
You're going to be talked over.
I don't even talk over
I had,
everybody.
you know
It's
what?
funny.
I have great sensitivity to you right now.
If you have some conviction, you keep talking.
Not over you two.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Why bring me into it? Sorry.
That's right. It's good.
Anyways,
Well,
if you like your church, if your family's comfortable there, I think that there are places to get fed and to get some leadership and some direction from.
but there are times when you're going, you know what? I'm spending 60 hours a week. I'm doing everything I can to pour into this youth ministry, and I'm bleeding for this youth ministry. I love these kids. I want to see them grow, but I just feel like I'm in an environment that is dead. That there is no vision, there is no leadership. You know, the church could care less. My bosses could care less whether, you know, we had a great, successful summer camp, or 3 kids came to Christ and we baptized 2, you know, whatever. Nobody seems to care. It feels like, you know, this is just a job, and you got a guy. I'm kind of reading into this a little bit, or painting another side of the picture. Going, how long do you do that for? I mean, how long do you stay in that
Yeah, but I
environment
don't
where
know.
you go?
65 days.
I think that's precisely why he has to stay.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's not what you're called to do that, though. You're not. I mean, I get it. I've been in that lonely place at times. You know, I get that part of it too. I think leadership. You and I have talked about this. Leadership can definitely be lonely at times.
Yep.
But I think that's part of what you're called to do is to press on in that time, and I think that's part of what even this community, PDYM community, and SYM, and all of that is trying to build is that you don't have to journey by yourself. You might be in that situation at your church by yourself, but you don't have to do the whole journey by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the question's too general. I mean, is he lacking community? Is that what he's saying?
Well, he says, I'm hungry for growth and excitement once again. So here's the premise then, that growth and excitement came from outside of his sphere of influence.
Right.
So with
He
that
can't
statement,
generate it, or-
well, that would be the question. We would say, can you generate
Right.
growth and excitement
Make
by
it happen.
shaking things up or saying, you know what, I'm going to go for a new season with new volunteers, or I'm
Read
going to
a
build
book
a
or go on a
team, or I'm going to
roller
take
coaster.
my student ministry deeper, or as opposed to saying, we used to be at a church, when I first came to this church 4 years ago, there was excitement and leadership. Now there's not. So the question is, can I make it happen in my own setting? Do I find that growth and excitement? Or if I'm always... See, I think a lot of times we put so much expectation on people who were quote-unquote above us.
I agree.
You know, like when I first came to Saddleback 15 years ago, I kind of had this expectation that, Rick Warren and I would be best friends, and that I would spend all this time with him, and, because at my other church, that's what I had the relationship like that with my senior pastor. Well, come to
You guys had
Saddleback,
that free movie pass.
yeah, he did have a free movie pass.
That
It was
was
very nice.
awesome.
But we came here, and that isn't the. Now I've served with Rick a lot longer than I served with the other guy. Rick and I have a great relationship, but it's not a best buddy type where we hang out together a lot. So, but you sometimes go, the person who is over me, I have these expectations that he or she is of a certain way, and those may not even be fair expectations. Like this guy may be in an environment where, I'm expecting the senior pastor to be this rah-rah guy, and I'm making this up, but let's say the senior pastor is the greatest pastor that church has ever seen. That he's
And
a
he's
lover
like-
of
Right.
people,
He's not rah-rah.
he makes house calls, he's just loving people, but he's not John Maxwell. He's not filled with a bunch of vision. He's a pastor who's just loving on people. Well, maybe there's a fit scenario going on there,
Yeah.
or a style, or a community.
I would love, maybe we can have a follow-up email from Bob,
Nathan.
about what does he mean a little bit more? When I first came, there was, what was the words? Excitement and vision. What was that?
He says, I'm hungry for growth and excitement.
No, before that though. When I first came.
However, lack of vision and growth is
Yeah.
what
It'd
he's
be
looking
neat
for.
to have that defined a little bit more. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have a valid question. I'm more than willing to say that about people I think have a weak question. It doesn't make any sense. But I just don't think, I personally just don't get this one. I mean,
Well,
But
questioning.
wouldn't we also say kind of define exactly what you want or what you're missing, and find some mentors, maybe even outside of the church, that might be able to mentor you in
Yeah.
those ways. I mean,
and I'm saying the first part. Define what you
Define
want,
what
let
you
us know,
want.
and then I'll give it to you.
okay.
Well,
You'll
and we-
mentor him.
And we,
No,
we've
I'll-
answered,
World of
we've
Warcraft.
answered this. Because
Yeah.
I think
So
there's a
there.
lot of men and women in youth ministry situations that are looking to their leaders for something that they really want that may in reality be unrealistic.
Yes, people have unrealistic expectations.
Which
They
is
could be,
also
but they could be fair expectations. They could be fair,
Oh,
but
they're
they could be unrealistic.
They're
For example,
uncommunicated even.
Right.
we
Yeah.
create community, and in us working together for so many years, we have created community where
I just haven't heard him ask for community. That's all I'm asking about. Because I agree, that's where we're all going, because we get our excitement and vision from being friends with the other community. I don't hear him saying that.
yeah.
And I just cut you off, and I'm
Yeah,
going to
I forgot what I was
apologize
gonna
for
say.
that.
That's
I'm
all right.
sorry. I apologize twice in this podcast. This is like
yeah,
a
this is
the
rare.
mad again.
I don't know.
whoa, and those were both heartfelt too. I wasn't just saying that.
That wasn't just lip service. You really meant those apologies?
No matter
Ooh,
how
that's
hard I
ridiculous.
try, Brent Dumler, Dumler, how would you say that? Dumler.
Just want to do that.
Matt will love this. He's from Unison.
I
All
kind of don't
caps.
think you should spend so much time reading last names and cities because
Because why?
it just kind of hacks them up a lot.
Well,
What if
but
we
you
It's
know what?
exciting,
About
though.
him reading them too, and let's see how that goes.
It's exciting.
Let's
go.
just read a bunch of names.
Bob
People
from
want to
Duke
hear their
Valley.
people want to hear their name read, right,
Josh,
Josh?
they do.
All right.
They
Name
want to have a little
recognition.
artificial community.
Brent
Here we go.
Dumler. Dumler?
Dumbledore. There we go.
Um,
He doesn't care about his name.
Brent.
No matter how hard I try, it seems there's always someone laying
Saying
their
my name
head in
wrong.
someone else's lap,
What?
What? Wait.
hands being held.
Feels like a.
This is the sarcasm.
This is
where
PDA.
you use sarcasm in ministry.
Okay, hang
This
on.
is it.
Hang on to that. Prepare your response, okay?
It's already
Just
done.
prepare your response, okay?
Wait, hold it inside for a minute.
We may need to end with this because this could be the greatest response. I don't know.
Here we go.
So there's always somebody's head in somebody else's lap, hands being held, or even laying right on top of another person during youth events.
Wow.
What?
Now, am I too old school to hope that their main purpose in coming to youth group events is to grow closer to God? How aggressively do you handle these issues, and what repercussions are there for students who push the envelope? In fact, could I get a copy of your policy on this subject if you have one? I just want to say thanks for the effort, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And thanks for the podcast after we made fun of his... We didn't really make fun of his
we
name.
didn't make fun
I
of
didn't
him.
know how to
Good
pronounce
shape.
it. Jan just didn't like the fact
Yeah.
we would take
So,
any time to
Our students
say
coming to
Dumbler.
learn about God at youth group.
So you got
It's
you're
part of
at
his
you're
life.
at youth group and you got PDA going
Correct
on.
me if I'm
Public
wrong.
display of affection.
Yeah.
And Matt is
Forgotten what that
saying,
meant for a
I
while.
mean, I just thought it was a handheld thing
Hey, is that like an iPhone? or what?
Whatever. Gina's been called on that so many
Oh,
times.
on a public display of affection.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a great story to tell about Delirious being at church.
Do you mean delirious?
Delirious, the band, came and
If there's
played
a
at church.
there's a question mark at the end, so you're supposed to say delirious.
Delirious? But I can't tell it on the podcast. You guys have
Oh,
to
really?
remind me. Yeah, I
That
can't.
was
Oh.
it. You just teased
I didn't mean
four
to.
Don't tell
I didn't
Josh
mean
he's
to.
gonna blog it.
When
I will vlog
no,
about
when
this.
when you said Jana's been called on it, public display of affection,
There was something like that
came to
that
my
happened.
mind about Delirious that happened on Sunday night, and I got to
Can we say Delirious is awesome and has nothing to do with the band?
it has nothing to do with the
Okay,
band.
Delirious is awesome. There you go.
They
Okay.
they
Yes.
actually were
They were good.
off. You know, I've been around enough circuit, big stuff, speaking, festival stuff to know that a lot of times the band off stage isn't the same on stage.
Yes.
These guys were so great. Their heart was so
Oh,
pure.
That's
Good.
cool.
They all grew up in the same church. How great is that? I mean, what an
That's cool.
anointing from God. One of the guys in the band has 3 sisters,
Awesome.
married to 3 of the guys in the
Oh.
band, and the dad is the pastor of the church.
No way.
Yeah,
Can you
the
spell
guys.
enmeshment?
Yeah, we
Wow.
thought we had a
Just
tight
kidding.
community.
Yeah,
Wow.
there
I think
is.
it's
They were
enmeshment.
just.
But
They were just
good.
great
They were
guys.
good on stage, good off stage.
David
People
Crowder was
loved
like
it.
that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it maybe still
David's
is.
like-
You
I'm
know
not saying
what?
he's
I
not.
told them that too. I
He-
said off stage, he's as gracious
him,
as they get.
We were at a table and I was talking to his wife. I didn't know it was his wife at the time, and backstage in the green room or whatever. And then after 5 minutes, I did. And when he said, he just was so cool. He was so
Yeah,
honoring to
he's-
her, and you know, wasn't one of these. She and I were talking like computer geek stuff. It was awesome. You know, and he didn't like try and take over the conversation or talk about what you'd kind of expect with a music
They're
guy.
very
Yeah.
low
Yeah.
maintenance,
Super
very
cool.
humble. Kind
All right,
of
back to Brent Dumler.
Okay, so
Okay.
there's
Oh,
all
goodness.
sorts of
PDAs is a
PDA.
great. To me, I think this is a proper arena for being sarcastic and making jokes. I mean, I think that
They do it.
that
Jana's got
Oh.
her head in somebody's lap.
well,
Hello?
one of my
No.
She's
Not
married.
Jana Sardi, Jana Tincher.
Janet.
Janet
Janet.
Tincher.
Jana Tincher.
I'm trying to think of some of my lines. I mean, the biggest thing that I've done before is I've actually stopped and I said to Robbie Boyd, I said, "Now, Robbie, if we're trying to think about God," I said, "is it easier for you to think about God when Nicole's fingers are going like this on your neck, or when they're not going like this on your neck?" And then, of course, everyone starts laughing. They turn redder than Gianna, to me, it's just real simple. You just say, "Hey, the reality is, Is it easier to think about God when you're holding somebody's hand or when you're not holding somebody else's hand?
When your head's in somebody's
yeah,
lap, or
well,
when it's-
that you can go further. But there was a couple
Did you say
times.
they were laying on top
well,
of each
that's-
other.
or even
I mean,
laying
let's
on
be-
top of one another during youth events. Yeah, at
Not
some
happening.
point,
I would
Period.
say
Yeah,
something
no,
to
no,
them.
no.
I would say something to them beforehand. I mean, if it's happening, you don't want to call them out. But I've made people not sit next to each other before. I said, there's no way you guys are sitting next to each other. Are you kidding me? All the hand holding, the neck rubbing that happens. Go.
okay, but Matt, you also have a relationship with those guys too.
Yes.
Now, so if you're doing this, you're doing a Bible study, and somebody's showing up to church for the first time, and they're sitting with their girlfriend, and they're,
First time
holding
I
hand
would-
or sitting in each other's lap or something like that, you
No,
would
if
never.
it was a crowd event, not a chance.
Okay.
Would
Not
you
a
have
chance.
some ground rules?
Undergrad's a good
for the
example
group?
of some things
Yeah,
that we
if
would
there
allow
was,
happen.
if there was, there's been some times where there's been couples that have been totally all over each other, and which is we're reaching people, and whoever comes is whoever comes,
Yeah.
and so there would be times where we'd say, hey, cool it.
Right.
Hey, can you guys save it till later, I mean, I would.
Save it till
Like,
later.
after
That's
you're
Yeah,
married.
yeah. I'd never said, hey, go get a room, which would be great.
That's
but
sarcasm.
I would like to say that.
But don't you think you can address it in a crowd sense as well? Hey, as we go out tonight on this overnighter, keep public display of affection to a minimum.
Well, we would
I mean,
definitely
so you could throw
address
some
it.
ground rules
We would
out
have
too,
some clear
publicly.
expectations before going on
Yeah.
a trip of any kind.
If we knew
Yeah.
that was, I mean, if you got a bunch of couples or something like that, you pull them, look, pink, blue.
Didn't
Don't
I
make
once
purple.
have?
Different sides
Didn't
of
I
the
have
Houseboats,
like?
pink,
Yeah,
blue,
I
don't
put
make
red
purple.
on one side of my fat stomach and blue on the other, and I said no pink, or that was really funny.
That
Yeah.
is-
I remember that. It was
Yeah.
visual that you'll never
That's
forget.
right. Maybe not even sarcasm. That could have been an exaggeration,
That could have been
That's a
hyperbole.
form of humor.
possibly.
That could have been hyperbole.
So, conversation, Matt suggesting up front.
It does depend
I
on the
tend not.
setting.
You're wired a little different. You can get away with being cruel up front.
Yeah, I am the
You-
grandmaster.
You got away with that with kids
Just kidding.
a lot better. I would typically say something either before or after.
Yeah.
Or the reality is if you've got a team and your volunteers know what's going on, your volunteer just kind of gets up,
Yeah.
sits over, goes over and moves and sits in between them or something.
Don't you think it has to be addressed though? Because soon this will characterize your youth ministry. I
Absolutely.
mean, people will see that, and you're in a dark room, and the lights and the music's going, and pretty soon, like, oh, that's the youth group where kids make out, or, I mean, pretty soon that characterizes your whole ministry. You have to take care.
Well,
of it. You
part
have
of
to
being a
address it.
leader is establishing what do I want in this environment. Okay, well, a couple weeks ago we talked about babies in the environment. Remember that when we were
Yeah.
talking
And
about our
they're
volunteers?
always
The
making
bad
out with other
babies.
babies.
Those babies that are laying on top of each other. But as a leader, I got a lot of heat from that because I told our volunteers, quit bringing your kids. And I said it in a gracious way. I said, teenagers walk in, they don't know whether this is youth group or nursery.
Right.
So, but that as my job as the
Gracious.
leader.
I'm sure it was totally gracious.
Yeah, and my job as a leader is to establish what do we want in this environment, and
This is not something we want.
yeah, and if you don't want kids
So
all
don't
over
turn
each
off the
other,
lights, period.
That's right. Keep the lights
establish
up
those
loud.
boundaries.
Stay
All right.
vertical.
Let's do this, Matt.
Stay
vertical.
Stay
Turn the
vertical.
lights on.
Keep the lights on.
What's the
Keep your
trademark?
clothes on.
Keep your clothes on.
Keep your clothes on.
Stay vertical.
Stay
Keep the lights
vertical.
on. Keep your clothes on.
Clothes on.
Yeah.
lights.
But having two girls, I think the better rule is don't like guys.
So you want them?
No.
Oh,
Look,
let's.
time's up.
Hey!
Hey, see you next week.
Let me tell you that delirious story.
Yeah, can we just apologize for
For-
today? Period. I mean,
What's
I feel like
wrong
I
with
need to
today's show?
apologize every day, but
But for this show in particular.
yes.
I just think Matt's comment was way overboard.
Which
gonna
one?
edit it?
But